All right, let's jump straight into this explainer with a seriously liberating truth for every creator out there. Your first draft only has one single job, and that is simply to exist. It takes all the pressure off, doesn't it? So often we stare at a blank page feeling this immense, paralyzing pressure to write perfectly right out of the gate. We kind of think that if the first few words aren't pure genius, we've somehow failed. But the truth is, you don't have to be a genius on day one. You just have to get the raw, messy ideas out of your head and onto the canvas. Your first draft is literally just you gathering the sand so that you can actually build the sandcastle later.
Welcome to our explainer on Brushstroke 6, Refining Until It Feels True. Today, we're exploring that crucial transition from chasing your initial wild inspiration to intentionally crafting your final masterpiece. We're going to look at exactly how to take those unpolished, vulnerable first drafts and sculpt them until they honestly and clearly reflect your story. It's all about making sure the genuine emotion in your heart actually survives the translation into the ears of your audience.
We've got a fantastic roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 5 key areas. The first draft myth, becoming the producer, the refinement toolkit, the AI editing companion, and finally, trusting your instincts. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The first draft myth. Let's start right off by shattering one of the biggest illusions in the creative world.
There's this massive misconception out there that professional works just arrive fully formed, like a lightning bolt of perfect inspiration hitting a genius in the middle of the night. Pop culture loves to sell us the image of the songwriter scribbling a hit song on a diner napkin in 5 minutes. But in reality, inspiration merely starts the journey. It gets you in the room. Refinement is what makes a song, or really any piece of art, truly memorable. Consider this. Leonard Cohen famously wrote over 80 verses for his legendary song Hallelujah before ruthlessly cutting it down to the masterpiece we all know today. Revision isn't a sign of failure, and it doesn't mean you lack talent. It's concrete evidence that you are taking your craft seriously. Patient refinement is where the actual art happens.
That brings us to Section 2, becoming the producer. To properly refine your work, you actually have to undergo a vital identity shift. You physically and mentally have to transition out of the songwriter mindset. See, as a songwriter, your focus is entirely inward. You're in your own head, capturing raw thoughts, processing personal emotions, and just getting your story on the page. But when it's time to refine, you must adopt the producer mindset. This requires a completely outward focus. You have to step outside of yourself and make cold, intentional decisions to serve the story and the audience. You have to stop asking just, well, what do I mean by this line, and start rigorously asking, what will the person in the back of the room actually hear and feel when this line is sung?
Section 3. The refinement toolkit. Now that you're wearing your producer hat, let's crack open the toolkit and look at how we actually sculpt this raw material. These 3 actionable steps are your absolute secret weapons for editing. Step 1 is simple, but incredibly difficult for passionate creators. Walk away. Seriously, give it 24 hours. You need to take a break to combat ear fatigue, which lets you hear your work with fresh ears so you can notice where your attention naturally drifts. Step 2 is vocalizing every lyric out loud to catch awkward, clunky rhythms. And Step 3, relentlessly cut unnecessary words. When we're excited, we tend to over-explain, but the strongest lyrics leave breathing room for listeners to bring their own experiences into the story. Less is very often more. I really want to emphasize reading your work out loud. It is absolutely crucial. Your ears will naturally catch the stumbling blocks, the overly long sentences, and the broken rhythms that your eyes completely miss when scanning a written page. Our eyes are great at skipping over grammatical speed bumps, but our mouths, not so much. Think about it logically. If you are tripping over the words or running out of breath while casually speaking them in your living room, trying to add melody, strict tempo, and raw emotion while singing them on a stage is going to be incredibly awkward.
As you ruthlessly edit those drafts, never forget that your song has exactly one emotional center. Your chorus. It is your #1 priority. The chorus is the thesis statement of your entire artistic argument. It's the part people will sing in the shower. If you can improve just one single line in your chorus, you mathematically elevate the entire piece. It is the anchor, and it requires the most intense refinement of anything you write.
As a producer, you've got to evaluate every single other section of your song against this framework to ensure it actually supports that central chorus. Verse 1 has a specific job. It introduces the journey. Verse 2 cannot just be a repeat of verse 1. It must actively move the story forward and raise the stakes. The bridge is there to offer a completely new perspective or a profound turning point, and the outro is designed to leave listeners with a specific lingering feeling, usually hope. If a section isn't actively contributing to this journey, you need to rewrite it or cut it entirely.
Now, applying all this structure, can feel deeply overwhelming when you're working alone. Which brings us to Section 4, the AI editing companion. Let's look at how modern technology can actually help.
We really need to reframe how we view artificial intelligence in the realm of art. We aren't looking at AI as a replacement for human emotion. Think of it strictly as a creative companion. It is not a ghostwriter trying to replace you. Rather, it is a highly objective, tireless sounding board that helps reveal your creative blind spots. It's there to brainstorm, organize scattered thoughts, and suggest structural improvements.
So what does a productive conversation with this companion actually look like? Well, these are the targeted, diagnostic questions you can ask your AI. Instead of a lazy prompt like, write a song for me, you paste in your draft and ask, which verse feels weakest contextually? Or, does this bridge actually support the emotional weight of the chorus? You can ask it to suggest simpler alternatives that maintain your original meaning. These prompts act like a producer sitting right next to you in the studio.
But remember, the balance of power here. AI's job is strictly to analyze the structure, suggest improvements, and provide alternate vocabulary. Your job is to evaluate those suggestions, make the final decision, and fiercely maintain your creative ownership. The AI might recommend a dozen brilliant alternatives, but it absolutely does not know what a broken heart actually feels like. You do. The final, authentic decision always belongs to you.
And that brings us beautifully to our final topic, Section 5, Trusting Your Instincts. With all this feedback coming in, how do you actually know when you are truly done?
Look, while you should absolutely remain teachable and listen to critical feedback, your ultimate goal is never just to please everyone in the room. Your goal is to honestly reflect your message. You can easily over-edit a piece of art until you strip the absolute soul right out of it. If an AI suggests a word that sounds too clinical, or a friend suggests a change that loses your original gritty meaning, trust your gut. Stay fiercely authentic to your unique, imperfect human voice.
Because at the end of the day, this is the ultimate question you must ask yourself to guarantee clarity over clever complexity. What will my listener hear? It is the curse of the creator to know exactly what a lyric means in our own heads, but your audience only hears the song for the first time once. They don't have your journal in front of them. If they get confused, they don't pause the music to ask what you meant, they just skip to the next track. Write for understanding.
It all fundamentally comes down to this. Songwriting isn't about writing perfectly on the first try, it's about improving intentionally, draft after draft. So, as you head back to your canvas to refine your own story, take the pressure off. If you stripped away all the clever wordplay and the complex metaphors right now, what is the single, undeniably true thing your song is actually trying to say? Find that one core truth and build every single word around it until it shines. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep refining your craft, and I'll catch you on the next one.